So he's willing to, as we say, rip the baby out of the womb in the 9th month and kill the baby. Nobody wants that to happen, Democrat or Republican. Nobody wants it to happen.
You're lying. That is simply not true.
You may remember me saying that I really didn't think that Joe Biden should be debating Donald Trump, that I felt that it would be legitimizing Donald Trump, taking somebody who's not just a convicted felon, but somebody who's anti-democracy, who tried to overturn the election, who stole classified documents, who has been done for business fraud and, of course, rape or sexual abuse. You don't debate a guy like that, even if he is the majority Republican candidate for president or a former president. You know, he lost his fun tokens when he chose to break the law. He lost his rights to take part in legitimate television debates when he tried to overturn the 2020 election. So, you know, we have to be very clear what we're dealing with here. And that's why, in my view, Joe Biden saying, yeah, sure, I'll debate him, was a mistake. And I've said all along that Joe Biden should not do that. Now, you might think it's because I don't think Joe Biden is up to it. And that is partly true, too, because I've worked on many TV debates. I've rehearsed political candidates in the UK for these types of debates. I've worked on the actual debate shows themselves for many, many years. And I recognize the pressure that is on the individual, on the political candidate when they're on the debate stage. So you can't compare it to Joe Biden doing an amazing State of the Union speech, which he did, because he was using a teleprompter and he was just looking in one direction. He wasn't limited to time. He wasn't interrupted, and there weren't moderators with loaded questions sitting in front of him. So it's a poor example to use to say, okay, well, he was great on State of the Union, so he should be great on this. So that's the first thing, to kind of put that aside. Joe Biden has a stutter. He is not a natural public speaker, and he's also 81 years of age. And so for him to be put under the extreme pressure of a television studio where the lights are on, the cameras are on, the moderators are asking the questions, and then having Donald Trump next to you, who is a steamroller, who doesn't care for the rules, who doesn't care for the truth, then that is obviously going to change the dynamic of the environment for Joe Biden. And my concern more than anything is that Joe Biden was given an impossible task. And so there's two reasons why you don't take part in these debates. Number one, because the guy you're debating is a liar and a domestic terrorist. And number two, because the environment is simply too pressured for somebody to be expected to perform. Now, the third argument that people make is, well, if he can't do a debate, how is he expected to be a president, be a good president? And this is something else that frustrates me a lot as well. And that is that, he has the most diverse and youngest cabinet in history. And not just Kamala Harris as his vice president, but if you look across the board at Joe Biden's cabinet, they are young, they are engaged, they are diverse. And I mean, look at Pete Buttigieg in transport, for example. The guy's brilliant. And he never spoke about them. I would have advised him to talk about himself as a delegator rather than the dictator, and saying, yeah, okay, I might be 82 or 81, but I have a team of people who are young, who are fired up, who are energized. And, I'm not just flying this ship on my own. I'm the delegator in chief. He didn't once talk about Donald Trump as a dictator, didn't once talk about Trump as an anti-democratic or a fascist. I really felt like, we know that he dropped the ball, but I'm saying it's not his fault. It was an unwinnable moment to go up there for an hour and a half, and to be put on the spot. He also wasn't well, let's not forget, like myself, having COVID. He had a cold. He also has a acid reflux problem that we know about, so he's always kind of coughing and getting caught in his throat. I'm not making excuses for him, but a president is not supposed to be good at TV debates. A president is supposed to be good at being the president. And you don't make any decisions as president in a rush or in a hurry or with cameras on you or with a fascist dictator standing next to you trying to put you off. You just don't. Your decision making is measured. It is done with other people. It is done in a war room. It is done in an environment that is conducive to decision making. And my sadness is that because of the way American politics is covered, like infotainment, it's not serious, it's done for ratings, media is for profit. And so ultimately, what they just wanted to do here was humiliate both candidates. People were saying, well, Donald Trump will just prove that he's an idiot. No, Donald Trump is a showman. He is P.T. Barnum, but a compulsive liar. Donald Trump compared to Joe Biden are two completely different creatures. Joe Biden has devoted his life to public service. Donald Trump has devoted his life to fraud, theft, and lying. He's a finance guy. He's a business guy. He's a realtor who just flips properties. You cannot compare the two, and unfortunately, those comparisons just disappear when you're talking about a TV environment where the design of the television studio is designed to make these two look equal. And so it was a very difficult watch. I really, really struggled to watch it. I didn't watch it live because it would have been 3 o'clock in the morning for me. I'm currently in the UK. And so, so just going back to the kind of overall thing of how will it change the vote? Well, I don't think it will, because, we still have many months between now and the election. A lot can change. Donald Trump has more legal issues to deal with. Joe Biden has more opportunities to not be unwell, or to make statements, or, in my opinion, to say, I'm not going to be debating Donald Trump anymore, because he lied all the time. And the fact that CNN didn't fact check in real time, they've tried to after the occasion. They said that Trump lied about 37 times. Suggests that CNN has an agenda too. And, this is CNN is not a kind of liberal network. It isn't. The new ownership is such that they really are trying to platform and promote Donald Trump for ratings. So it's an unfair environment. It's a lion's den for Joe Biden to go into. Donald Trump does not speak the truth. He doesn't answer the question. When the question is posed, he just says whatever he wants about something else. And so we find ourselves time and time again in a situation where this platform is a completely imbalanced and unfair environment. So I don't think Joe Biden should do it again. I think that he should pull rank and say, I'm the president, and this guy just lied the whole time, and there was no pushback. I'm not taking part in any more debates. And I think he can do that. And I think that shows strength. But I also think it's important for his cabinet. We've seen it from Kamala Harris. She's come forward and made some very strong cases, especially about abortion, Trump lying about Democrats aborting babies in the ninth month. I mean, it's just garbage. And yet, no pushback. No pushback from the CNN moderators, who I thought were disgraceful. And just, they looked so broken, didn't they? They looked like they had done a deal with the devil themselves. And then Donald Trump really will just do the same thing over and over again. He didn't rehearse. He just went and played golf. He just came out swinging, as he normally does. Whereas Joe Biden was over-rehearsed. He'd spent too much time being trained for this debate. And again, I would not have done that with Joe Biden. I would have sat and just had conversations with him in an armchair and just talked about the overall big picture. But rehearsing him in this way just didn't work. He had too much information in his head. And that's the problem. Donald Trump has broken so many conventions and so many protocols and so many rules that there's a lot to say about him. And Joe Biden just had too much information in his head, confusing tax with Social Security, various things that happened where I was like, no, there's not much of my lip left. Actually, I think I've bitten most of it off. But I don't think it's going to change the vote. I think ultimately Joe Biden is going to be a successful candidate in November. And there's a lot of time between now and then for people to realize that this is a very simple choice between dictatorship and democracy. And I think that, that kind of final minute where they were each given a minute to make their case at the end, that was the proof to me that Joe Biden's rehearsals had not gone well, because what he had rehearsed was completely inappropriate. He should have gone to the bigger picture. Instead of talking about his individual achievements, he should have said, look, this is a choice, as he did in the State of the Union, between democracy and demagoguery, between a dictator and a delegator. And so, I wish Joe Biden all the best. I don't think you need to switch him out for Gavin Newsom. I think he is the right candidate. But I think that people need to recognize that you cannot decide an election or decide on a president based on a TV debate. The TV debate is not the election. You have to look at the record. You have to look at the 4 years. You have to look at where the country is at. And Biden made a very good point that is that the country is in a very good place. And it is not the country that Donald Trump claims it is, that it's broken and all this stuff. It's just simply not true. So those are my thoughts. I'm sure I'll have more, and come back and we'll talk again. I'm Anthony Davis. You can catch me on the 5 Minute News YouTube channel. You can find me on Wednesdays co-hosting Uncovered, and on Sunday on the Weekend Show with Midas Touch.